Hello, my name is Kieran and I'm Kieran Chats, and today we are chatting all things WWE Unreal Season 2 Episode 2. I already talked about Episode 1 in a previous video, so if you want to go and check that out, you can right now. But this is Episode 2 and this one is called The Last Time Is Now. This is all about John Cena's final 2 wrestling matches in WWE. The first bit of kind of behind the scenes that we get to see is CM Punk and John Cena. They are in the ring together and they are doing a promo together. And halfway through the promo, Punk stops, goes over to John Cena and very simply says, "I'm gonna miss you." CM Punk does that because he wants to take John Cena out of that moment, and he wants to tell him, as Phil Brooks, just how much John Cena has meant to CM Punk. It is a really cool insight. So we learn in episode 1, Seth Rollins, he injures his shoulder, throwing all the WrestleMania plans up in the air. We learn then that they're going to go with Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker attacking Seth Rollins to take over the Vision. That's going to be the angle on Monday Night Raw, the very next night after Seth Rollins' injury. Now, they do then this backstage segment, and I'm still not sure, and I've watched this clip a couple of times, whether this was purely just done for WWE Unreal or whether it is an actual real thing that just developed and happened. To be honest with you, I think this is a bit of a work backstage, but it's Paul Heyman, Seth Rollins, you've got Logan Paul, Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed all in the backstage area, and Seth Rollins is telling Braun Breaker, "You lay that spear in. Do not worry about injuring me anymore. I want you to spear me like you'd spear anybody else." Because Braun Breaker is looking like he's about to vomit, if I'm being perfectly honest. He doesn't want to hurt Seth Rollins anymore. And Paul Heyman is doing that typical Paul Heyman thing. He's saying everybody's money depends on it. Your money depends on it. His money depends on it. And just before they go to the ring, Paul Heyman leans into everybody, leans into Braun Breaker especially, and says, "Bring that fucking shit." Then they go to the ring and they do the segment. It goes off without a hitch. Even Braun Breaker says, even Seth Rollins says when they go back to Gorilla, says, "Wow, you absolutely 100% laid that in. Thank you, Braun Breaker." Another really cool moment in this is after CM Punk wins the World Heavyweight Championship belt, he comes back into Gorilla and he's like, do I need to travel with this now? And, Cody Rhodes is there as well. And Cody Rhodes says, technically you don't have to now, but if it was me, I would absolutely travel with that title, because what if the office rings you and says, "Can you be somewhere? Do you have the title?" You have it. So CM Punk is kind of like, I suppose I have to travel with the title, because of course before, like years and years ago, every champion had to travel with that championship title. Didn't they have the Money in the Bank briefcase as well? They had to travel with that. I think CM Punk, was it him that told the story? He used to carry his gear, or was that Edge who carry his gear in the Money in the Bank briefcase? But it looks like today you don't have to travel with the title. Of course, we know that because Roman Reigns, he turns up to Monday Night Raw now and someone hands him a title. It's just a really interesting moment and a real moment of wrestlers being professional wrestlers backstage, Cody and CM Punk. It's a nice moment in this episode of Unreal. And then we get introduced to Liv Morgan's house. She lives on a farm. She tells us she doesn't eat eggs, she doesn't drink milk, but she has loads of animals. She's got chickens, she's got dogs, she's got everything, pigs, whatever can you think of as animals, Liv Morgan has it. That's not the best thing about Liv Morgan's house though. She has got her own wrestling ring in this house. She's got her own gym. It is absolutely a gorgeous house. It's great to hear from Liv Morgan. And actually, throughout this whole Unreal process, you get the real sense that Liv Morgan is an incredibly talented person and actually really, really fun in real life. So Liv Morgan shares with us that she's got a really cool neck tattoo with the date 11/21/17. It's actually her WWE TV debut date. That is really cool. Then they bring us back to July and you get it's a massive emotional change here from Liv Morgan, who looks like she's a real life vibe, but she really changes when she talks about her own shoulder injury. She got it in a match with Kairi Sane, just a really innocuous way she fell after Kairi gave her a drop kick. And you see, she brings us to the backstage area when the doctor is popping her shoulder back into place. And you see that, you see the shoulder jolt. She's like, has her shoulder down on the medical table and the doctor jags it. Oh my God. It looks absolutely horrendously painful. But Liv Morgan jumps up and she's like, "Oh, maybe that's it, maybe that's my injury is done and it's just a dislocated shoulder." Unfortunately for Liv Morgan, she is out for quite a considerable amount of time, and the doctor does have to break the bad news to her that that's the healing is not going to be done just from a dislocated shoulder from me popping it back in. Then we hear all about Liv Morgan's comeback. We're back in the writer's room in Stamford, Connecticut, and Bruce Pritchard, he very simply says, why don't we have Liv Morgan come back as a surprise at Survivor Series War Games and help Dominic Mysterio in the match against John Cena? And he is very, very adamant here that it's offense only for Liv Morgan. She is not fully cleared to do a whole lot of physicality, so it's offense only for her. But all the writers, they agree. Triple H agrees. Liv Morgan's comeback will be to help Dominic Mysterio. That is the next big thing then that we see in this episode of Unreal. And John Cena wanted to include every single member of the Judgment Day. This is a continuous story in here. John Cena wanted to put over as much talent as he possibly could. So he wanted to use every member of the Judgment Day. JG McDonough, Finn Balor, Roxanne Perez, Raquel Rodriguez, Dominic Mysterio, who he's in the match with, and then of course Liv Morgan. That crowd reaction at Survivor Series War Games when Liv Morgan's music hit was absolutely iconic. It was brilliant. You will love it when you get to see it. And that kick to the balls that Liv Morgan does on John Cena, she absolutely lays that shit in. So much so that when they get back to gorilla position with John Cena and Liv Morgan is like, I didn't know whether I hurt your balls. And John Cena was like, absolutely not. And he tells a story about when you get kicked in the balls for 20 something years, you learn how to cup it successfully. Then it gets emotional, because it's John Cena's final match at Saturday night's main event in DC. And John Cena himself, he addresses the fact that fans, me included, who wanted his final match to be at WrestleMania. And he was like, WrestleMania is going to have a good crowd anyway. Probably going to sell out anyway. Why not do it in WWE's worst quarter of the year, which is Q4. Do it in a market like Washington, DC, and actually draw a big house. We learned very quickly that it was always going to be Gunther. Triple H says Gunther was always going to be the man to end John Cena's career. John Cena says Gunther is one hell of a heel, and he was so happy to go out to Gunther. John Cena tells us why he tapped out. He very simply said it's the way he wanted to end the character. He wanted to kill off the character of John Cena because he's never going to wrestle again, and that's exactly what he did. When you know that from John Cena's perspective, it actually changes how you feel about the match. Well, it does for me anyway. But Saturday night's main event then, he wanted to showcase the NXT superstars of the future. And those superstars that he showcased are main level event superstars in WWE right now. Obafemi, one of the biggest stars of the business. Javon Evans, he's getting up there. So Ruka, yeah, she's got a lot to learn, but she's women's Intercontinental Champion now. Those three superstars were showcased at John Cena's Saturday night's main event last match, and they have gone on. They have got a rocket tied to them, so that definitely worked. John Cena was a 100% a catalyst behind them getting an even better spot than they already had. Then at the end of Saturday night's main event, Punk goes up to John Cena and Cody Rhodes is there, and they say, we're putting the titles on you. You have no choice about it whatsoever. It is happening. You did it to Hulk Hogan. We are doing it to you. John Cena, he doesn't have any qualms about it. He allows them to do it, and it's a lovely moment on Saturday night's main event. The online reaction to this, as you expect, was absolutely wild. They do a little thing where they show all the tweets from Twitter of people going, what the hell, what has happened? That's where John Cena says he wanted to kill the character. And for the first time ever on WWE television, they had killed the character. I suppose we're not mentioning the Vince McMahon exploding in the limo, but that didn't actually technically happen anymore. They erased that from history. But it's just interesting from John Cena's point of view. He wanted to kill the character, and for the first time on WWE TV, we saw a character die. Then they actually use a lot of online creators' reactions to that moment. Kind of funny because they've been copywriting a lot of the same creators for posting their reaction clips alongside WWE content. This episode finishes then with John Cena basically saying this is what was best for business. And actually, this is the first time in these first two episodes where I actually feel and get a sense that John Cena is being John Cena the person, not John Cena in character. That's my review of episode 2 of WWE Unreal. Week's episode is Rise and Rumble. This is where we get into the Royal Rumble from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, building on the road to WrestleMania. Make sure you follow for episode number 3's review. It's called Rise and Rumble of WWE Unreal with me, Kieran Chats.